Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking all the books that I read in the months of January and February 2026. So the first 15 books that I've read this year. It's been a pretty decent year so far. I'm ahead of my goal, so that's good. And I've read some really big books and some kind of small books too. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, make sure you subscribed if you like this type of video. And also I have a new TBR game, which I will link in the cards. I think it's here. I believe it's here, or maybe it's here. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this section like a little open so I can put up the Kindle books that I read and audio. And let's go ahead and get started with the first book that I read for 2026 that I finished. This baby. I did it. I read this 800-page book. I was really scared when this came out of the TBR jar, but I was on like page 400 and was thinking like, I can't believe I'm halfway through this. I'm very sad about that because this is such a good book. I loved this. Such a good read. This is my first read for the year. I think my first read for last year was The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which I gave 5 stars. I gave this 4.75, I think. But God, it was so good. I think that's basically a 5 stars. So I literally would have read this forever. This is like the definition of epic fantasy. I loved it. There was some romance in it, but it was a lesbian relationship as well, which is definitely different for romantasy, which is cool. So I really, really loved this. I thought this was great. If you haven't read anything by Samantha Shannon, this is the only book I've read by her, but I would recommend reading this one. And I definitely am going to get the other ones and put them on my shelves and read them in future months because I thought this was really good. It's also is a standalone. I thought it was the first book in a series, but the other books in the series are prequels to this. So I'm definitely going to get those at some point, put them on my shelf and read them very soon. I'm very excited. I'm trying to not add books to my shelf that I don't have an imminent, like, I'm not gonna like read this right now because I have too many books to read. These are all unread books. My read books are over there. You can't actually see them from the screen. So I have a lot of unread books. And so if this comes out of like my series jar during my game, I will read the next one. I'll buy it and then read it, but I'm gonna not buy it until it's time to read it because there's just too many other books on my shelf and I wanna get this down to like a unembarrassing amount of books. So I highly recommend. I loved this. It was about a queen, and then it followed a couple of different people who end up meeting in the end and defeating this great evil and epic fantasy at its best. I loved this. So highly recommend. I was extremely scared of it. Next, I read Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This book was stream of consciousness. So it was, the main protagonist is someone attempts to murder her and they don't succeed. But because she has polycystic something, I can't remember, I'll put it on the screen, but she has some sort of like disease where her veins are thinner. Polycystic kidney disease, that's what it is. So she has this disease, and so there's like a mass that was created from this head trauma from the attempted murder that she's going to get an aneurysm and she's going to die, but they can't remove it because she'll die in that. There's like a 5% chance that she dies in the surgery, or a 5% chance that she lives in the surgery, and she just chooses to just live her last 7 days or however much time she has left. And so what she does is tries to solve her own murder. And I liked the murder mystery part of it. The plot was good. I liked that part. However, I just found the main character to be like really annoying, and it was excruciating. I listened to this one on audio because I didn't own it. She was insufferable. Like just feeling bad for herself and like not getting the point of what other people were saying, and she was just not a character that I really cared if she lived or died. And I think you wanted her to live by the end. You're supposed to, and I did not. She was insufferable, but the mystery part of it was good. I think I gave this 2.5 stars or 2.4 or something like that. It just wasn't very good, unfortunately. Next, I actually did a 24-hour readathon. So I did this Herkyed style where you just read from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. I didn't do actually counting the 24 hours that I was reading. I just read as much as I could in one waking day. And I read 3 books. The first one was a reread for me, but I haven't read this in a long time. This is, when people ask me what's your favorite book, this is usually what I say, but I haven't read it in so long that can I really say that? So I reread it and I loved it. I read this for the first time when I was like 17, I think, in high school. It was assigned reading, and it's basically anti-war propaganda, but very relevant in these days, especially these days. So yeah, it's a good book. It follows this guy who is writing about his time in World War II and being captured in Dresden. And it's a satirical war novel, basically. And it kind of makes fun of different parts of war, but also very serious parts. And the way it goes about it is in an entertaining way. However, the topic is very serious, of course. So, yeah. And the characters are funny, and you know what's going to happen to them because he keeps saying what's going to happen to them. I liked this for different reasons than I liked it at 17. I liked it at 17 because it was weird. And at 39, I like it because it really does put all of that into a different perspective. So if you've never read Slaughterhouse-Five, I do recommend it. It's on the shorter side. This copy is 275 pages, but it reads pretty quickly. It doesn't have a lot of words on each page. So I was able to read that in a day. And then I also have the graphic novel. So I decided to read that right after it. So basically going over the story again. And it was really interesting to see the graphic novel pictures. And it's literally the same exact words and the same exact story. It's just illustrated in this graphic novel sense. And you get a look at what, Billy Pilgrim looks like and stuff in some of these scenes. So I gave this one 4 stars. Oh, I gave Slaughterhouse-Five 5 stars. And you get to see Kilgore Trout and his adventures and that kind of thing. Actually, get to see the illustration. So I thought this was really fun too. It's the same exact story, just told through pictures and graphic novel style. I liked it. If you don't want to read Slaughterhouse-Five, this is literally the same exact thing. It's just illustrated. So, and then during that 24-hour readathon, I also read The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. So this is by Stephanie Meyer. This is one of the books within the Twilight saga. So my friends and I did a Twilight watching day at the beginning of January, or maybe the middle of January, where we watched all 5 movies in one day because one of our friends hadn't seen them, and we all wanted her reaction for the last book, the last movie, and she had just read all of the books. So we wanted to watch her reaction and see what she thought of all of the movies. It was a really, really fun time, but she had this one and I didn't know that this was a thing. So it's basically just a short novella about Bree Tanner, who becomes a vampire. No spoilers there. It's 100 something pages. It's not very long. Some of them don't even have page numbers. It's 190-ish pages, so I was able to quickly read this in a day, as well as those other 2. And it was interesting. It was just a continuation of the story that we already know. I wish that I knew more about, what's his name? I think I wrote it down. I want to know what happened to Fred. Can someone write, Stephanie, can you write a book about Fred, please? I want to know what happened to him next. So did he show up at the end of did he show up in the 4th and 5th movies or the 5th book? I can't remember. I would hope that he did, but it was pretty fun. I liked that one. Did I skip any books? No, I didn't. I was afraid that I skipped one because some of them are not physically, I don't physically have them, this next one, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So I didn't read this during the readathon. This is just another book that I read. I read it on my Kindle though, because it was available on Kindle Unlimited. I thought the whole series was, but apparently it's just this one, which is slightly annoying because now I'm just gonna buy it on my Kindle, I guess, if I get it again. I got it in February on my TBR, but I didn't get to it. Not that surprising. But I thought this was good. It was fine. It's like a literary fiction. It's about a cafe where if you go and sit in a seat in the cafe, you can go back in time, but there's rules. You can only go back to a day where you were there, and you can't like get people to go there that weren't there before. It's just basically reliving something that's already happened. And it's the story of 4 people who want to sit in that chair and what happens to them. The stories get more and more serious as the book goes on. The first story I was like, ugh, I don't really care about this lady. But then as the stories progress, they get more and more like impactful and more emotional. So that was pretty good. I think I did like it, and I think I want to read the next one, but I'm also not like sure about that. I don't know. Like, it was good sad stories, but I just don't know if I feel like I'm always in the mood for good sad stories. So yeah, it was good. It was a good translated fiction, and I would recommend it. I think if you're looking for something short, especially if you want to read like 4 short stories, because it's not written like it's short stories, but it's basically like one person's story and then another and then another and then another. So it's kind of like that. I don't know. But I thought it was good. I have so many questions though about like how the seat works. So that's the other reason why I kind of want to read the next book, is because I want to know how this seat works. Can we go other places? Can I tell someone to meet me there? I don't know. Like, okay, the next book that I read in the month of January, we're still in January, I read 9 books in January, was Chasm, which is the second book in the Glacian trilogy. I think I gave the first one like 3.5 stars. I gave this one 2.5 stars. The world and the magic are great. Like, I really like how the world works and how the magic works. The geography is a little bit confusing, world building wise, because I don't know, like, there is a map in here, but like the way it's described and how long it takes to get places seems a little inconsistent to me. So that's the map. It's a good map. It's a nice looking map, but you know, the characters are very annoying though. Like, the main character, Dawson, is also infuriating. Like, just make it like, it was very repetitive in the plot. Like, she was really like going back and forth with the main male character, like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you didn't get many POVs from him. It was just like really, the characters are just really annoying, and the plot really didn't go anywhere. It was kind of just setting up for the 3rd book, which I hope is going to be really good because I own it. It's right here. It's a very beautiful book as well. But it's not on my TBR this month. I almost picked it, but I didn't. The characters are just annoying, and the plot was very repetitive. But the world, like the magic system and like the actual like plot, seem good. It was just really repetitive. So it wasn't my favorite. I do think I'll finish it, the series, but I want more out of this. And it was thick for like not a lot actually happening. The next book I listened to actually was I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is like kind of a classic sci-fi book. I got it on a deal on Apple Books. It was like $4.99. They have like their $4.99 or like $1.99 deals and stuff, and so I usually peruse those. If there's anything that I'm interested in, I'll purchase it. So this one I knew I needed to do some translated work for Herkyed, so I picked it up. It was a pretty short listen. It wasn't like the longest book ever. I thought it was good. I gave it 5 stars. Honestly, there was a lot of like thought-provoking. So it's a story about what it would be like to grow in a world without men, and then with no one, not just no men, but literally no people. So it's about this woman who wakes up in a cage. She doesn't know how she got there. She's there with 39 other women. I think that's the number. And they're policed by a couple of men, and then something happens and they get out of their cage and figure out how to live on this other planet, or maybe it's still Earth. Like, there's just a lot of unanswered questions. So it was really thought-provoking of like what it would be like if there were no men. Obviously we can't reproduce and that's the end of the line, but like, would there be infighting? Would there be people working together? And it's different. It was a good story about like human nature, curiosity, and that kind of thing. And the only thing, the character was innately, I guess, like kind of conceited. Like she's like, I'm smarter than the rest of you. And that like thought really didn't change. So I don't know how she would have gotten that way, other than maybe the way that they treated her in the beginning, but they didn't treat her like that. They treated her badly. So that's the only thing I'm like a little bit questionable of, was like, how did the character get to be the way she was? Because I feel like in my experience that's a learned behavior, but she was kind of innately like that. But what do I know? I actually do have a psychology degree, but I'm not using it. But anyway, I thought it was a good book. It deserved 5 stars. It's very thought-provoking. I really liked it. It was, yeah, it's only 184 pages. So I would recommend that one to any woman because it's very feminist. So the next book that I finished, and the last book that I finished, was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I have been meaning to read this for a very long time, and I finally did. Unfortunately, I didn't like it as much as I think I would have if I had gone in blind. I knew like the basis of the story, and I don't have any spoilers or anything like that, but I knew there was going to be some big twist because like literally all of my friends have read it and like everyone has read it. So I know there's like some big twist that's like, oh my gosh, wow. So I kind of knew what was going to happen. So if I had gone into it blindly, I would have liked it better. I wish I didn't know that people like didn't like it as much. I've been using my reading journal just to jot down notes as I'm reading books so that I don't forget them for these kinds of things. So I was like looking for the twist like the whole time, and I'm not going to give like spoilers, but I kind of knew, I could tell that something was happening because like I already knew that something was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know specifically what was going to happen. I didn't guess specifically what it was. I was just waiting for that. And I think it would have been a better read and more enjoyable for me if I had not known so many people really liked this book before I went into it. I think I gave it I gave it 4.25. So it's still a really good book and I still really liked it. And I liked the twists and stuff, but I wish I had gone into it more blind and I probably would have given it more like a 5 stars, but it is what it is, I guess. So that is the 9 books that I read in the month of January. I think that's it. Let me go to my January. I was gonna do like videos about my reading journal, but I don't think I am going to because I think, I would like it to be for me. I could go over it at some point if people are interested in seeing like what's in here and stuff. I think it's a really great journal. But I'm kind of using like this section as jotting down my thoughts as we go. Okay, so getting into February, I only read 6 books in the month of February. It's a short month. I had some travel. I had 3 days during the month of February where I didn't read at all because I was just doing other more important things than sitting there reading. So yeah, I just didn't have time to read as many books, but I did read some good ones. But we're starting with a not so good one because I fell into the hype of We Who Will Die from all of the people on the internet. This book was not good. I'm sorry. I gave it 2.4 stars. I kind of want to read the next one because I want to know what happens in the story, but yeah, no. So the world building was the really big problem for me because they talked about sigils a lot. I don't know what that is, and I don't know what it looks like. And I even looked for like fan pictures and I couldn't find what a sigil looked like. It was supposed to be on your forehead, but no one ever talked about like how it got there or when it appeared or what the colors were. That was very confusing, and the world building was just not good enough for me for that. Like, I think I understand like how to read books and I can like get stuff, but I did not know what was going on with the sigils. Like, what is a half crown? What is a full crown? I didn't like that. Yeah, and it was also just very predictable. Like, you knew exactly what was going to happen. It's an interesting concept. It's set in like Roman times with like Spartan fighting and that kind of thing. and like having like a dominus and all of that kind of stuff. But it just was predictable. The world building sucked. I felt like I was always asking questions and being like, wait, what was that? And like I was reading on my Kindle, so I couldn't like really go back and like, I guess I could have flagged on my Kindle what it was, but I don't know. It wasn't, I wanted more. I wanted it to be, oh, it's also a vampire story. I love vampire stories, but this one, the world building sucked. I feel like I was asking questions the whole time, and I'm sorry, but if you like this, I'm glad for you, but I just didn't think it was that good. Next book that I read was a 5-star read for me, and it was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I wasn't sure about this book. This was my book club pick. It's not one I would have picked up on my own probably, and if I had picked it up, it would have been way in the future. The first book that we read for book club, like my girlfriends and I here, in person, was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I never finished that book. I DNF'd it. So I was very nervous to go into this one. However, this was great. This was such a good story. And it definitely is a love story. It says a love story right here. Basically, it's about this woman, Joan, who wants to be an astronaut, and she trains to be an astronaut, and like all the people and the characters that she meets. Like what I want to say would be very spoily. I wrote down, this is the only note I actually wrote down, was starts off with tragedy. I can tell this is going to be sad. And it was definitely sad, but there were also lots of like happy points as well. I think it was a really good character study of women in the 70s and 80s and their like defined character roles and gender roles and that kind of thing. And relationships with like her niece was so important. I really liked this. I thought it was a great literary book. I don't read a ton of literary. I mean, I guess I read a lot of different genres. I'm just not in the mood for this right now, but I was able to read this pretty quickly. I really liked it. And the pages are also like, they feel nice. I know that's like a weird thing, but if you are a book reader, you'll know what I mean. The pages feel nice. So I would recommend this one. It was definitely like oh, thank God Taylor Jenkins Reid is not the, like, I do like her writing. I just didn't like 7 Husbands, I guess. We have a watermelon lemonade Celsius today. I don't really like sports drinks, but I don't have any Diet Coke for caffeine, so. Okay, next book that I finished, this is Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. This was not on my TBR, but there was a Herkiad special challenge where if you read a book that had one of the colors on Joseph's skirt or jacket, then you could use a book as many times as you could for like different prompts. And I was like, that is something I need, so I gotta read it. Who Joseph is, I don't know. But I read Rose in Chains. This has been on my TBR for not that long. I think it was, I'm not sure when it was released, but not that long ago. Definitely late 2025 or maybe summer. It never has the months on the inside. Anyway, this is supposed to be like a Hermione and Draco fan fiction-y. It's not fan fiction, but it's kind of like based on that dynamic. And it was kind of similar to that, but there's definitely a ton of differences and flashbacks to like when they were in school and stuff. Basically, she's a princess, and her side gets conquered, and then she's sold to the highest bidder, which happens to be her enemy from school. And it's like their relationship and trying to figure out like what's gonna happen, and there's like a rebellion brewing and all of that stuff, and there's a lot of like heavy topics in here as well, as you can expect for women who are sold into slavery. But basically has magic, and her and like her fellow like people who are students were sold so that they could like drain their magic and use them for different things, but then also for other things, not just using their magic, because they are women. So it definitely has like some warnings on here. So this work contains explicit content, scenes of gore, violence, assault of a POV character, non-consensual is referred to, and the buying and selling of human beings. So definitely read the trigger warnings for this one and the content warnings. But I liked this. I didn't love it. Let me see what I wrote for the notes. Oh, some of the names and things and the little quips that they do are a bit dumb and inconsistent. Like sometimes they talk like they're like in 18th century England, and other times they talk about like it's today. So the language was a little bit off. And there are some plot points where I'm like, she's not asking the right questions. This is very repetitive. Again, it was quite repetitive in some of the plot points. I'm like, how is she not getting this? Like the main character is just a little bit dense. And like there's one main thing that I don't understand why she doesn't like realize like that something is like can happen. Like I don't understand she's supposed to be like a very smart brainy character, and she's actually kind of stupid. So yeah, I think the people who have these, one of my main things is that when these books have like things like this happen to characters, and then they need to react appropriately, and they did in this book. So I gave it points for that. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I do want to see where this goes. There were just some inconsistencies in the language, and also the main character was pretty stupid for being a smart person. So that's my review on Rose in Chains. I thought it was good though. Like I enjoyed reading it. But you know. Okay, next thing that I read was I Am Number 4. This is by Pittacus Lore. I'm not sure how to say it because it's a made up name. It's definitely a pen name. I think it's interesting because it's like this book has a movie out, but it's about this planet gets destroyed by an alien race, and they send like their last remaining children to Earth to grow up and get their legacies, which are like their powers, and then they can come back and beat the aliens who destroyed their planet. Very Superman-esque. But the world building was really strong. No, it was not strong. Sorry. Very YA writing style. I would say that this was even close to like middle grade. Like I didn't really feel like it was very young YA is what I'll say. Like some of the topics were not middle grade, but like war and killing and that kind of thing. But the world building also wasn't very strong. Like it was set in our world, so it didn't need to be set like I understand what Ohio looks like, but the idea of what the home planet was like was pretty fuzzy in my mind, as well as how the characters like get their legacies, which is like their different powers that develop as they like hit puberty. So, and what that even means, like their main legacies, like it was not explained very well, and their way of explaining it was through like info dump. So there was like this box or whatever, and in order to learn about like all these legacies that are happening to this 15-year-old kid, or 15 or 16 I think he is, like they have to open this box, and then the box tells them. I'm like, it's kind of a weak way to explain, but I understand. There's a lot of inconsistencies, and I really hope that this series gets better as it continues, because I do want to keep reading it. I have the first 6 of 7 books on my Kindle, so I definitely want to keep reading it, but it was pretty, like, it read very young, which I wasn't prepared for. I was thinking it was going to be more of a little, like, an older YA. I don't know. I guess now I'll be prepared, but it was good. It's like a science fiction fantasy about aliens who come to Earth. So I thought it was good. I think I gave it, I only gave it like 2.5 stars. So I'm really hoping that the series gets better and I understand the world a little bit better. Not really the world, but like the lore. That was a little bit confusing. Okay, so next I actually reread a book because I had Bonds of Hercules was on my TBR. But I started reading it and I was like, what happened in the last one? So I decided to reread Blood of Hercules. And I like this book. It's a spicy, what would you say, like god and goddess inspired. So basically like this girl is living in poverty This is in a post-apocalyptic United States, and basically she's discovered to be a Spartan, and so she has to go to this Spartan like trial, and it definitely has some sort of games and trials in it. So the first thing that she gets dumped into is like a massacre. So she has to like fight against other Spartans who already know they're Spartans and she doesn't know, and like she's impoverished and not very well fed and like all of that. So it's like what happens, and then she's assigned these two like protectors, these guys who are supposed to help her get through the next like year of her life at this academy where she has to learn like all this like advanced mathematics and that kind of thing, but then also like they train her physically and starve her and like all of that stuff. So that being said, it was kind of fun. Like that sounds really serious, but it was fun. And this is a like kind of wide shoes-ish romance with teachers as well. So there's a couple of professors. Well, I guess one is a professor, one is like a drill sergeant, but who, you know, she has interest in. There isn't any spicy scenes really until the end. Like there's things that happen in her head, but not like in the actual book. This is again like kind of stream of consciousness. It reads very YA to me until you get to like the explicit parts, and then it's not YA anymore. But like the stream of consciousness, like her thinking, because you're in her head most of the time. There is some chapters from other POVs, but it's mostly her. And I mean, she's confused and she's young, so it makes sense, but not very adult-ish in her thinking. I have started the second one right now. I'm like 200 pages in of 500. So I'm still reading it. I'm not like super invested in it. I've finished other books instead of continuing that one, but yeah, I mean, this was a reread for me. I liked it. I think I'm feeling like a little about it now because I'm reading the second one and I'm feeling about the second one. But the first one I did like, and it is Why Choose, which some people really like. I like Why Choose. I think it's fun. So it's like a spicy romantasy. And then I think the last book that I finished, because the next two, yeah, I haven't finished, is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This I read because it was for the Read Good Challenge. You had to read something by an Australian author or something set in Australia, and this is by an Australian author. This is a triple timeline from 1619, 1942, and 2019, and it's the different stories of the different women who inhabit this cottage. It's called Wayward Cottage. And it's a witch story, basically. So in 1619, it's like the witch trials. In 1942, it is a woman trying to figure out like how to live in this like kind of new world while the war is going on, and traumatic things that happened to her. And then 2019, it is a woman just trying to get away from an abusive relationship. So it had a lot of serious themes to it, and the way it like went about discussing them I thought was really good, and it added in like the magical element to move along like the plot in the story, and I thought that was a really brilliant way of doing it. So I love a multi-timeline, especially, okay, I don't love a I do if it's done right, and this book did it right. I read this really quickly. I remember being like, oh, I just want to read one more chapter about this person. I want to read one more chapter about this person. Before I know it, I'm halfway through the book, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. I read The Sirens by the same author, which is over there. It's also another very like beautiful cover. The cover is stunning. I had this at book club, and they're like, oh, what are you reading now? And I told them, and then they were like, oh my God, the cover of that is so pretty. And I'm like, yes, this cover is also very beautiful. This book was not as good. I bought this literally for the cover. I thought it was a very stunning book, and it is. But not as good as her debut. This was a debut novel, which I honestly can't believe because it was so well written, and I think I gave this 4.75 or 4.5, something like that. I thought this was really, really good, and I definitely recommend people read it, especially if you want to read about women's stories throughout history. and the women are just like really resilient in this story. So I really enjoyed Wayward as well. So that is the last book that I finished in the month of March. It's currently February 4th. I haven't finished a book yet. I'm really, really close to finishing A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's dragging on for me a bit. And then I need to finish Bonds of Hercules. And then I have like so many other books to read. So that I don't lose my game again, which I'm going to lose my game again because I haven't even finished a book yet. And I have 8 others to finish. Plus all these other challenges. I'm giving up and it's the 4th. I should do that. Anyway, that is all the books that I read. Let me know, did you read these books? Did you agree with my reviews? Did you not? Please let me know in the comments below. What are you reading this month? What are your recommendations? Have you read the Lorien Legacies, which is the I Am Number 4 series? Does it get better? I'm hoping it does. Please tell me it does. Because I bought the books because I was excited about the series, and now I'm like, what have I done? So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.